1. Hello, this is Joeofthemasks.
And his buddy Jeremy. Once again, we're here today unboxing another part for the ongoing project of, well, my own personal computer. Here we've got the ASUS Prime B350X.
Do those numbers mean anything?
So, I mean, to yes and to no. The word Prime and Plus, it's marketing terms. It's there to get a little extra pizzazz. It's kind of like putting...
like back in the day saying the nuclear vacuum, even though there was nothing nuclear about it.
Like that, or if you guys ever are building computer parts or buying computer parts, you'll quite often see that people attach the word gaming for things which are inherently designed for gaming, like a graphics card or gaming headsets and keyboards are really notorious for it. Adding the word gaming and adding little bits of plastic on it don't really improve anything. They just
add pizzazz.
They add mind share to it. But this, the numbers that do matter, is B350. Mm-hmm. That is the mid-grade AM4 socket code for it. Okay. You got the top tier, best of the line, X360. You got the mid-tier B350. And then I believe the lowest rung that's designed mostly for OEMs or people who are...
OEMs?
Original equipment manufacturer like Dell, HP, Compaq. They're still around.
You're little tiny buggers that, you just want a laptop for...
Not so much a laptop, but those people who just buy like a desktop for their home and they pay Dell, $600 and just get something that works well enough. Those are the people that would usually buy the 800, the A370, 320 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that do that. 5 times protection, 3. I have no idea what that means. But anyways, designed for Ryzen, AMD, crossfire capable, which means you can take 2 AMD graphics cards and strap them together. They operate as one. The problem with this is this only has 24 PCIe lanes. PCIe lanes being a standard which allows different components in the computer to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. The average graphics card takes 16. That's just how it's always been. Mm-hmm. The problem being, though, if you see 24 and you try adding 2 graphics cards, each of them taking 16, that'd be 32. And unfortunately, 32 is a little bit number than 24. And so what they did is they make it so the first and second CPU or GPU, so both the GPUs, will use 8 PCIe lanes. So in certain games, you can get detrimental abilities like Battlefield 1. A buddy of mine called on the topic of, he's got a channel, he discussed it, but he talks about how he fiddled with his settings accidentally and lost about 15 to 20% of his performance on Battlefield 1 due to that.
Ouch.
So yeah, crossfiring isn't always the thing to be. Mm-hmm. Oh, and if you guys have dual NVIDIA cards, there's something called SLI. And SLI, which was inherited from 3D Voodoo, along with CUDA cores. No, CUDA was someone else.
3D Voodoo and all those other ones are older graphic.
Yeah, they've been defunct for about a decade now.
Yeah.
But they got CUDA from someone else, and they got SLI from Voodoo. This is not an SLI capable board, so if you buy 2 1080s, strap them in here, expect them to work, it won't happen. You'll just have a really nice paperweight for the second one.
Beautiful.
Yes. So features. Comes with 2 SATA cords, which allows you to connect such things as a hard drive or a DVD in there. If you have more than 2, you'll have to buy an additional cable. They usually run, I don't know, probably about, the more expensive ones run probably $5 or $6 per cable. The cheaper ones run $1 to $2.
Makes sense. They're just
and
small
one thing
cable.
You have to know about when it comes to cabling, whether that's a USB cable or an HDMI cable or one of these SATA 3 cables, is as long as, because of the digital signal, as long as it can have a handshake and confirm with the opposite side the correct speed, it doesn't matter if you pay $2 or $15 for it, it'll operate at the exact same quality. Linus Tech Tips did one about a $3,000 HDMI cord, which performs just as well as the $5 HDMI cord you can pick up from Best Buy or
Walmart or
any of your local regional producers.
How fun!
Yeah, you just spend a lot for silver. That's basically all it is. This right here is the back plate. The purpose of the back plate
Just make sure it doesn't fall out the back.
It's screwed in, so that won't happen.
Okay.
Luckily. The purpose of the back plate is to allow you to not have to deal with quite as much dust on the inside, because quite simply,
dust filter.
right here on the back, I don't know if it's going to pull up very well on the camera, but you can see
closer.
You can see how there's all these different connections in here, and there's these little gaps. A really big gap right here. There's all these gaps in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the CD tray case, I can get the words right. There's these it's a giant hole.
Yep.
And so what'll end up happening is if you don't put that backplate in, things can get in there, like dust or...
Joe.
Yeah, Joe, he can get in there as well.
You don't want Joes in there.
It can create problems. Also...
that sound.
Yeah, people like it.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
Really?
It's more so a joke by this point, I think. But it is. Oh, also nice little fun fact. Foxconn, right there. People that make Apple motherboards, they got a component in here. It looks like a PS2 controller. And for everyone who doesn't know what PS2 controller is, that's a fancy word of saying old keyboards. Like Windows 95 keyboards.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, okay.
What? No, PS2. That's the connection type.
Okay, I thought it was like... I thought it was like an acronym like POS, but...
No.
Oh.
So this has probably got a BIOS update, I think. Get it off the website, don't get it off this. CPU installation instructions, touch that and you die.
Screw.
Connections instructions for the motherboard itself, usual type of things. When we go to the assembly of all these different components, I'll make sure to actually show you how to do it. It's usually fairly straightforward. This is an electrostatic bag. The point of this is to make it so you don't accidentally fry your motherboard halfway between here and China.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
So you got it from China? Pronounced
most
China?
electronics are all made in China.
Pronounced China.
Yeah, China.
China.
Yeah.
I think that's how he says it. China.
To some extent.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Why is it red instead of copper?
If you have exposed copper, it'll oxidize and it'll reduce the connectivity. So
that's why they now cover them?
Well, they've always covered them. They just color them with...
So it's aesthetics that it's now...
For the most part, yeah. But here's actually a far better example. So this is the back. There here. It's got all these different gaps. So when you put this guy on there, it'll sit like that. You'll still be able to easily access things, but at the same time...
Dust won't, and Joe can't stick his finger like this.
Don't seriously. One thing to note is that this is an AM4 platform motherboard, and so AMD is, for the past long while actually, has had their CPUs not including any type of graphics in the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So this VGA, this DVI, and this HDMI will do nothing with the CPU I'm going to install. The point of these three are for their APUs, their advanced processing unit, I think they call it, or something like that.
APU.
Basically, it's got half of the chip is dedicated for graphics, and half of it's dedicated for computational power.
Okay.
And what it allows you to do is not install a graphics card at all on the computer, and you can still run at probably somewhere around the 1050 or the 1050 from NVIDIA, or maybe the 550 from AMD.
So I could still play Skyrim on ultra low?
You could probably run it on like at least high and medium settings. You probably can't get like a 4K texture pack and run it off that, just due to limitations.
Mm-hmm.
But the basic principle is it gives you enough to play esports like your Dota 2s, your League of Legends, your CSGO, stuff like that, with manageable frame rates at 1080p or less.
For War Thunder?
You could probably play at War Thunder at maybe like low settings at 1080p.
Sorry, I like War Thunder.
Yeah. That's that. So to talk a little more about the board before we throw it back in its case and unbox some other things for tomorrow. Things to talk about. This is the 24-pin connector. This will make it so you can get power to the entirety of the board. This is a 8-pin connector. This allows you to supply power to the CPU. The current Ryzen chips are rated somewhere between 65 and 95 watts, so very manageable by any.
These look so much like those sci-fi movies, sci-fi cities back in the 80s. I could just see Dredd driving down one of those red lines going, I'm going to get someone.
Yeah. These look like mounting holes. There's mounting holes here where you put it inside the case, and we'll talk about that when we get to that point. But these guys right here, they kind of flex back and forth. You can kind of see in the camera.
To lock the RAM in place?
That is not the RAM.
Oh.
These are the PCI 3 connections.
Okay.
Each of these, the top one will run at 16, but if you use both of them, then they'll operate at 8, and you can technically run Crossfire for AMD on there.
Mm-hmm.
These ones, this is a PCI 1, PCI 2. This is PCIe, as is this, so these are probably both 1s. So nothing too crazy right there. This is an M.2 slot, and so these mounting holes are for the M.2.
What's the M.2?
It is a more advanced version of an SSD.
Oh, okay.
It will allow you to transfer theoretically up to, I want to say like 30 gigs or something like that. That being said, I'm not aware of anything that runs that fast. And if it did, it'd probably melt itself.
Good point.
Yeah. Down here at the bottom, it's kind of marked, but you've got SATA 6 gigs, which is SATA 3 standard. USB controls. You can tell it's USB Type 3 because it's got those types. There's a little bit of speakers, I think, right there. And somewhere around here will be the connection for the power button. That's the word. The power button on the front. That talks about that. Occasionally, if you buy something that's an MATX or an ITX board, they'll have an M.2 slot on the back. But since this is a full ATX board, no such luck for me. It's just right here above the GPU, which makes it so the GPU doesn't necessarily cook it every single day. So that's that. That's PS2 slot, just in case you're wondering.
Oh,
that's what they look like.
I know what that is.
Yeah. And that's ASUS's B350 Prime Plus board.
Yay! Alright, we'll put this away and get ready for the next video. Thank you ever so much.